Hello, my friends. I'm Amy, and I'm so glad you're here for more story today. I hope you all had a nice Christmas. I wonder what your favorite part of Christmas was. Well, today's story is going to be a little bit different. You're going to see a little bit more of me, a little bit less of the felt pictures, but we'll still have them. This is actually one of my favorite stories to tell. So I hope that you like hearing it as much as I like telling it. It might even be my favorite to tell. So, are you ready for the story? Once upon a time, there was a man named Simeon. Simeon lived in the holy city of Jerusalem, where the temple was, the house of God. In the temple, the priests made offerings to God to bless the people, to save them, and to set them free. All around the temple, people's lives were hard. There were people who were poor. There were people who were sick, people who were scared, people who were lonely. And there was fighting and hate and lying and cheating and stealing and bad kings who didn't care what happened to the people. Simeon saw all this and he asked in his heart, "Where is God?" And Simeon heard a voice deep in his heart, or maybe he felt it. And the voice said, "Someday the light of the world will begin to shine. Someday you will sing, 'The light of Christ has come into the world.'" Can you sing that with me? The light of Christ has come into the world. Years went by, and Simeon grew old. He still lived in Jerusalem near the temple, and the priests still made offerings every day in the temple to ask God to bless the people and save them and set them free. Still, all around the temple, the people's lives were hard. There were people who were poor, people who were sick, people who were scared, people who were lonely. And there was fighting and hate and lying and cheating and stealing and bad kings who didn't care what happened to the people. Simeon saw all this and he said in his heart, "Where is God?" And again, Simeon heard a voice deep in his heart, or maybe he felt it. And the voice said, "Soon, very soon, the light of the world will begin to shine. Soon, very soon, you will sing, 'The light of Christ has come into the world. The light of Christ has come into the world." More years went by, and Simeon was now a very, very old man. He still lived in Jerusalem near the temple, and the priests still made offerings every day in the temple to ask God to bless the people and to save them and set them free. And still, all around the temple, the people's lives were hard. There were people who were poor, people who were sick, people who were scared, people who were lonely, and fighting and hate and lying and cheating and stealing and bad kings who didn't care what happened to the people. Simeon saw all this and he asked in his heart, "Where is God?" And again, Simeon heard a voice deep in his heart, or maybe he felt it. And the voice said, "Look up. The light of the world has begun to shine. The light of Christ has come into the world. The light of Christ has come into the world." And Simeon looked up, and he saw a man and a woman coming into the temple. The woman was holding a tiny baby, and the man carried a cage with 2 doves in it. Now, one of the offerings that the priests made in the temple in those days was the offering of 2 doves for a firstborn baby. This was because long ago Moses had told the people, "All your firstborn babies belong to God," because of the firstborn of the Egyptians who died to set you free. But you may buy back your firstborn child with an offering to God of 2 young doves or pigeons. Now, when Simeon looked up and he saw the father and the mother and the tiny baby and the 2 doves they were bringing to the temple to give to God as the price for the child, Simeon sang in his heart, "The light of God has come into the world. The light of God has come into the world." It was just an ordinary baby with 10 fingers and 10 toes, maybe a mop of fuzzy hair on his head. The mother was an ordinary lady, bouncing her baby in her arms. The father was an ordinary man, with calluses on his hands from hard work. Simeon went over and gently picked up the baby from his mother's arms, and he knew he was holding the light of the world, and in his heart he saw the light of the world begin to grow and shine and fill the world and bring light to all the people who are poor and sick and lonely and scared. But then he thought of all the hate and fighting and lying and cheating and stealing, and he saw a shadow over the baby's face in a dark shape like a sword or a cross. But then he saw the light of the world shine brighter than before, and a new king who cared what happened to the people. And Simeon gave the baby back to his mother and went home. Now Simeon was very old. He was too old to see the light of the world grow and shine and bring light to all the people who were poor and sick and scared and lonely. Simeon was old, and he didn't see the baby grow up and die on a cross because of all the fighting and hate and lying and cheating and stealing. And Simeon didn't see what happened next. when God made the light of the world shine again forever. But we know the light of Christ has come into the world. The light of Christ has come into the world. And that's our story. I wonder if it was hard for Simeon to wait all that time and keep believing. I wonder if he ever felt like it was never going to happen. I wonder if you've ever kept believing in something, even though it didn't happen for a long, long time. I wonder if we ever ask in our hearts, where is God? Are you ready for our prayer? Will you sing with me? Till we can be together, 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 till we can be together. Let's all join in prayer. Loving God, we ask your light for all the people who are poor or sick, or scared or lonely. We ask your light in all the places where there's fighting and hate and lying and cheating and stealing. We ask your light in all the places where there are people who don't care, leaders who don't care about the people. We ask you to help us to be the sort of people who bring your light to others. Help us to be patient and to take good care of each other. And help us to always remember the light of Christ has come into the world. Amen. Really big hug, being careful of the candles. Oh. And I hope you will join me next time for another story. See you real soon.